I am very, very happy to be here today. Thanks for joining on Journey Home Meditation's Morning Sit. It is such a lovely December morning. There's something really special about the fog. I really love living in places that have, regular cycles of fog coming through. There's these pockets of fog always coming through different spots in the valley. And so each morning, as I drive from home to do various things, whether it's work or it's usually work, there's these amazing places where you go from total clarity to 20, 30 feet of visibility, so you have to slow down. Like, I guess you don't have to, but the the best thing to do if you're driving a car when you lose visibility is to slow down and take your time. And you I find myself in that fog becoming extremely acutely aware of everything around me. There's a lot of times when we drive that, especially when we're on roads we're familiar with, places we're familiar with, that our mind can sort of start to wander, right? It can start to pick up on ideas, memories, notions, feelings, and it will begin to go down these stories that it's playing out in our head while we're cruising along at 55 miles an hour. Now, there's a part of us that is definitely aware of the road, but there's another part of our conscious thought that is sort of drifting. And then I'm sure this has happened to all of us. You all of a sudden realize, I've I've gone 20 miles, I've gone 10 miles, whatever it is. Especially, I remember driving through. I did a lot of cross country driving, traveling with my family and traveling with bands that I was on tour with, and you get to these places like Texas or Kansas, Utah, that have these long stretches of pretty sparsely populated places, we'll say. I think that's a safe word to say that's not diminutive, or I don't want to diminish it at all. It's not pejoratively saying anything, but places where you go for very long stretches with no homes, no businesses. And, Kansas and Texas especially have these very long straight roads. So you're just on this path for a long time. And you get to these places where you just start to kind of zone out because the function that you're performing is pretty easy to do, right? Despite the fact that you've got, a couple tons of steel moving at a high rate of speed, and a lot of your loved ones trapped inside of that little metal box, hurtling across the surface of the earth. Other than that, it's pretty simple. But, when you come upon these patches of fog, all of a sudden things aren't as clear. You can't see as far into the future. And I become more extremely aware, acutely aware of what's there. I'm looking for deer. I'm looking for cars pulling out of driveways. I'm looking for cyclists. I'm really watching everything that's right in front of my vehicle. And I think, it's obvious I'm making a metaphor out of this. This is a allegorical, right? that sometimes I will come upon an unclear part of my life. I will get bogged down. Um, and then I start to become more acutely aware of all of the little things that I normally just sort of brush off in my day. And sometimes those things are living in the pain in my body, living in the pain in my memories, whatever it is. My thoughts start to move towards difficult or painful things. Much like when you're driving in the fog, you start looking for dangers. You're looking for hazards in the road. And when we find the fog in our minds, we start to focus in on the potential dangers. And the same goes for when we are somewhat passively just experiencing our lives without conscious awareness and mindfulness. We start to drift in our thoughts, and we start to drift in our presence, and we can take things for granted, like when we do on a clear road. And I mention this not because either of these things are problems that need to be fixed, but just recognition that we are going to respond differently to different experiences, depending on what's in front of us, is going to change the way we react and respond. And that's okay. So there's really no point in beating ourselves up for these natural reactions that we might have. And we can learn to shift our focus a bit in those times. Um, if I'm driving and I hit fog and I grip the steering wheel and I'm terrified and living in anxiety, well, that's not going to do me any more good than if I relax and I slow down and I have a pleasant awareness of what's on the road around me. And by the same token, when I find myself losing contact with, my daily awareness, when things seem to just be kind of floating on mundane, you're doing the same thing every day. If I start to get stuck in this pattern of thought that takes me out of that, it leads me into depression, leads me into a regular experience of anxiety. But if I can find the space to relax into that normalcy of my life, whatever that is, that boredom, if I can relax gently into that boredom, I can start to become curious. I can start to experience the nuances that I might be missing when I'm not really paying attention. So the shift is possible, but so it requires us to not get stuck in a punishment way of thought. And thought itself is a function of an organ. The brain's an organ, right? It's just a function of an organ. And so, as much as we focus on these ideas to banish thought and to escape thought and to ignore thought and all of these things, that's try banishing the functions of your kidney. Try banishing the functions of your liver. We wouldn't do that voluntarily. We wouldn't ever choose voluntarily to stop the functions of our heart. And when we remember that thought is a function of the organ of the brain, we can allow for that thought to exist without having this intense codependent relationship with our thoughts. where we hang on to them and we believe in them fully, and we allow them to become poisoned and poisonous. And that can happen just as much as a kidney can fail, or a liver can fail, or we can have a heart attack. The brain, the thoughts in the mind can become so prevalent in our awareness. See, the difference between thinking and awareness is huge, because my consciousness, this seed of consciousness that is me, that is the I am, is not the me that the thoughts are. It's not the me that introduces himself. Hello, I'm Michael. I'm blah de blah, and I do blah de blah. And that's the sum of who I am. It's not that. The seed of consciousness exists outside of that construct of the thinking mind. So the idea of banishing the thinking mind is, it's just as uh, frankly, in my opinion, ridiculous as banishing the functions of the kidney. You can allow your brain to think whatever it wants to think, but we don't have to become attached to that and identify with that as prescribing who we are as a being. You know, and I've talked about this idea of the different planes of existence, right? But there's no hierarchy in that. There's no enlightenment will take you out of one of these planes of existence. That's not even the point, I don't believe. But the point is to expand our view of what is real. And with an expansive view of what is real, everything doesn't depend upon your thought. Everything doesn't depend upon you to make the decision. Everything does not hinge life or death upon what you choose to do next. And on some level, I don't even know if choice is real. I don't even know if that's a thing. Uh, it seems to me that choice is another function of the egoic mind that desperately wants to have a good excuse to self-inflate and congratulate itself when it makes the right decision, and flagellate and punish itself when it makes the wrong decision. And that's the whole construct of choice to me. Choice doesn't represent freedom to me. And that's not to say I don't make decisions. Of course I do. My egoic mind has to make decisions all day. There's a plane of existence where decisions need to be made, but it's bigger than that. The wholeness is larger than that. And I am a piece of the wholeness. So I am a piece of something larger than this. And there's a lot more to go into and talk about when it comes to constructs of choice versus agency, and what that looks like. What is the difference between choice and agency? How do you navigate those two different things? But when we take the time to develop a practice, cultivate a practice of expanding our awareness of what's in front of us, for me, it really is allowing me a deeper pool of compassion to draw from. And compassion not in a piteous sense of charity, but compassion in a sense of we are sharing this experience. That's what compassion is, to share the experience. So Let's get into our practice a bit this morning. Do some simple breathing, come into our bodies and expand our awareness of what's here for us to go through. And sometimes we'll find that we are on a clear road where we can see great distances, and the things that are up close aren't taking precedent. And sometimes we're in those foggy patches where what's right in front of us is very obvious. And it's just all different parts of the path. There's neither one is more worthy of our energy to accept or reject. They're both just these beautiful places that exist on the way. So if you're seated in a seat as I am, with your feet flat to the floor, you can allow your body to just settle into space, and we're looking for that place of balance. A place of balance is our meditation posture. And in seeking this place of balance, we are already aligning our thoughts with our body. And this is a union. And the word yoga can mean union. So this is the yoga that we are here to practice. Unifying our thoughts, our emotions, our bodies into one space of total acceptance. Breathing in through the nose to the bottom of the belly, and releasing entirely with the out breath. You can allow your eyes to close if that's something you have the ability to do right now, or keep your eyes open and hold a gentle focus. Awareness requires detaching from any one particular thing to be more fully aware of the wholeness of what is. So move your awareness into the body. Become aware of the sensations of your breath. The stretching of your ribs as you breathe in. The release of pressure as you breathe out. Notice the shift in your emotional body. Notice the shift in your physical body. And allow yourself to recognize the difference in your thought body as you bring these different expressions into one. Breathing in, filling the body with air. Breathing out, releasing anything you're holding on to that's no longer serving. In Hatha Yoga, a posture is called an asana. And in Sanskrit, asana can translate to seat. So the posture that is the seat is not sitting, but it is becoming the seat. So as we are in our meditation posture, we are becoming the seat. As the body finds stillness and the mind follows suit, and calm begins to come over us, we become the seat. And as the spirit moves in, spiritus being the word for breath, we become the seat for our soul and the experience of spirit. Become aware of your expansiveness. It is everything. It is everything. And we love it. And when you're ready to leave your practice of the seated meditation, you can bring your practice of expanding your conscious awareness of everything with you. Carry this openness through your day. And anytime you begin to notice your mind is adrift, bring it back to the breath. And any time you begin to feel that the road ahead is unclear, come back to what is close and breathe. And become the seat of awareness. Thank you for joining today on the journey home. I am so grateful to have this ability to experience these practices with you. And if you find these practices to be helpful in any way, please share them. Feel free. Leave me a review or send me a message. I would love to connect with you, to expand my awareness of what things you may experience in your practice or questions you may come upon that you want to bring to the Sangha. You can email me at journeyhomemeditation@gmail.com. Thank you, friends. Hari Om.